So, Dee, how did your first day of spring go yesterday?
It was beautiful, a little cold, but beautiful. And it was a nice change because it had been, oh my gosh, so windy, so much fire everywhere. I haven't seen wind like that since I was a little kid.
I'm very happy for you. It was very chilly and very overcast here and very unspring. And I guess spring was being kind of shy, but yeah, it wasn't really a nice spring day. Tuesday
So
was, but
yeah,
not,
well,
but
good.
not spring.
You have on a sweatshirt today, so I would say it's still chilly there.
It is. It's very frosty this morning, down in the upper 20s. And so I don't know. I just thought I'm going to wear my cute gardening hoodie.
Good. I'm just wearing a green shirt. So here we go. Let's talk about gardening.
I'm going to get us started. Welcome to the Garden Angelus, where we chat about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I have a suburban garden. It's about a third of an acre.
And I'm Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I still have a large garden out in the country.
We are Garden Angelus because we love gardening, and we want you to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But let's move on to this week's episode. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning,
So
Dee.
we've,
I'm adjusting all the windows on my screen so that you'll be kind of like in the center there.
okay, good. That's good to know. Like everybody cares, I don't think. I don't even have my light on. I'm going to go turn on my light. You tell me about your garden.
Well, the weather here was up and down all week. Yesterday was the first day of spring, and it might as well have been a day in February. But anyway, last Saturday I did go to the Morgan County Garden Fest, and I met our listener
Yes.
Deb. Yes,
She invited you and you got to go. Good for
it
you.
was very nice, and I bought some pansies and violas there because it's their fundraiser, and I wanted to be supportive.
Hmm.
And then from a vendor, I bought an epimedium. And from another vendor, I bought a really pretty scented geranium. And they had a line for free seeds. You got like 5 tickets to turn in for 5 packets. I
Hmm.
bailed out of that line twice. It was so long. So, but anyway, on Monday, I did sow my seeds for peas because it was St. Patrick's Day and that's the traditional day. And then the garden fairies wrote a post about it and kind of outed me.
As
Uh,
they do.
and then in the patio palace of propagation, my little seedlings for Verbena bonariensis vanity are up. Verbena Bampton is up. One of the Sweet Williams and one of the hollyhocks, but the others are kind of like sitting there. And then I,
Hmm.
I did go out on, on Tuesday, the one glorious day of the week. I pruned some roses. I pruned back my smoke bushes, and I mean, I cut them all the way back so that they will be bushy, not tree like, and they won't get
Yep.
as much of the smoke, because
I don't
that's.
like the smoke. So yeah, I
I,
get it.
I cut down my big Chicago hardy fig, and so I have these. I would guess 8 feet long stems that aren't very thick. And I thought maybe I'll make a wattle fence, but maybe I won't. But I have a lot of sticks. So I
You
did some
can use them
weeding.
as support.
Well, I don't know. The very ends are kind of wobbly. So I don't know. I did sow seeds for onions and I used that snail, or they call them jelly rolls or seed rolls. They're
Yeah,
snails where
yeah, yeah.
I tried that. They're not the neatest looking things. And I was a little late in doing it. But anyway, I did that. Then I bought so many pea seeds, Dee. I don't know what I was thinking. So I packaged up my extras, and I still have extras. I packaged up some extras of those, and then the okra seeds I collected last fall into some envelopes that the seed library at the public library provides. And then I took those down there and donated them. They were so happy to get them because they were almost
I
out of
bet they
seeds.
were. Oh, well, good. Then you helped them out.
Hmm.
So you want to hear what happened at my world?
Yes, it's just going to be a yes. I do want to hear. Yeah. Keeping
Yeah.
the economy going, Dee.
Keeping the economy going. So remember how I said this year was a reflective year in my garden because I reduced it by half. So I was going to reflect upon what was there and decide what needed to go, what needed to come in. That didn't
I'm
happen.
assuming that you opened up that website that I'm looking at, Select Seeds, and that reflection went right out the window,
It did. It
grabbed hold of
did.
your pocketbook, and said, Dee, reflect on these new things.
So last year I saved seed from my climbing petunias. I
Uh-huh.
can't find it
You were going to
anywhere.
send me some.
Well, I didn't because I don't know where it is. So I ordered two more plants, which is so dumb because I had tons of seed. But I really loved those last year. So there you
I'm
go.
going to
And
I'm going to buy
meanwhile,
some.
I did good, you should.
I'm
I
making a
did
note.
I did plant some seeds a couple of weeks ago for that AAS petunia that they sent us. Not the
Yes?
success one, but the other one. They sent us
Yes.
success last year and whatever one this one is. I did do that. And then I went around. Okay, so I bought two fancy begonias. God. That's what got me. I was going through all my mail and trying to get rid of catalogs, and up pops the Select Seeds catalog. And on the front of it is a really dark begonia, and I love dark plants, and it just got me. All right, and then I bought a new Phlox paniculata that's in the Garden Girl series, which I can't say enough nice things about the Garden Girl series that I've tried so far. Those are great phlox that are modern and don't get too large, very mildew resistant. I think I have Glamour Girl. And so this one is another one. And then I bought another new oregano, ornamental oregano, because I'm really starting to like ornamental oregano. Say that three times. For
Ornamental oregano,
pots,
ornamental oregano, ornamental oregano.
see, it's hard.
It
And
is.
so I'm going to have those spill. I already have two that spill over in the pots.
Should
They're
we
just really
pause and let me
great.
go to Select Seeds and go ahead and place my order for
Well, I mean, you have it open. I think you'll just
no, I
do
don't
it
have it
after we're
open yet,
done.
but I will as
Ah.
soon as this is over.
And then I said on here that my roses came from Heirloom Gardens. They did not. They're not coming until the beginning of April. My fertilizer from them came for whatever reason. So let's see. And then, oh, the exciting news.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. We chopped down 6 Eastern red cedars. I thought we were going to chop down 3, but
I
then
thought
we
you were going to
found
chop
3
down
more.
two.
We found 3. We found 6, and we chopped them all down. We almost chopped down my neighbor's, but I said I don't want to call her. She has little babies, and so anyway. Also, he came and fixed. Luz came and fixed while he was here. They fixed my paths where we had downsized. They put some of that gravel into my paths where they used to wash out if we ever get rain again. And then what else did he do? Oh, he fixed the leak in my greenhouse. So we've got to put the floor back, but we were waiting to make sure. While he did all of this, we had fires raging north and east of us. And by raging, I mean really raging. We
Yeah, I
even
saw.
finally made the national news, finally. And a lot of people, I just want to take a pause and say how sorry I feel and how much empathy I feel for all the people who lost their homes, their animals. In fact, 4 people died.
Horrible.
So it was
Horrible.
horrible. And then we had one day of nice weather, but the day that he was here, the morning was nice and then it ramped back up again in the afternoon. So I went around and pulled all the leaves out of my, between my Vaco pots
Sure.
and just worked and worked and worked. And he said, he goes, "You work harder than anybody I know." And I said, "Really? I mean, you're chopping down trees."
He wants to
So it was
hire
a
you,
great
D.
day. No, 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 no.
No,
So
no.
that was that. And then he's going to come and blow some leaves over to the edges of the property because all the leaves that we got rid of out of our
Uh-huh.
beds blew
Yeah.
all back in that weather.
That
Sucks.
kind of describes gardening sometimes, doesn't it?
Yep. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. All right. So play favorites. What are yours?
So I do not want to be mispredictable, but when I was dragging a bag of weeds around from the back to the front,
Mm-hmm.
because I throw the weeds
Mm-hmm.
away, I don't want them to seed all over everything. There was the first little violet blooming in the lawn, and I thought, oh, you get to be my favorite on the podcast. I took a picture and put it on a story on Instagram, so it's gone, but The picture was a little blurry. I'll try to take a better picture of the first violet because our listeners will be dying to see it, I'm sure.
So that's funny. We had one person write us and she was like, I think it's so funny that Dee is getting as into pansies and violets as Carol, which made me laugh because I was like, no, there's no way I could be as into violets and pansies as Carol. No way, Jose.
No, no, probably not.
No. I mean, she has violet cups. Do you have your violet cup out today? Or are you drinking out of a different one? Oh, that's one of them. You have
Mhm.
another one too.
I do. The one you sent me for my birthday is sitting out
Mhm.
there and it was dirty. That's why it didn't get used because I used it last night. Yeah.
Violet plates, violet stuff, violets, so many violets.
So many violets.
But I have to say, some of the pansies that have come out this year are exceptional. So,
Yes, they are. And
meanwhile, my four that I saved from sowing seeds are all growing downstairs under the lights. So I will get to use them this year.
that's good.
Four plants.
So that was my favorite. One tiny little violet in my lawn.
There you go.
And your favorite?
Daffodils. It would
Of
have to be
course.
daffodils.
That'd be
I
my
planted
second.
a bunch last year and they did great. Almost all of the tulips I planted got eaten.
Oh, that's
Nothing eats
sad.
daffodils. You know what? It's okay. Nothing eats daffodils. Nothing. So that's good.
No, no.
So our question of the week is not a question.
Well, we had a request. I got a request. You remember those blue tower columbine that I had in my yard for
Mhm.
years? So this woman, Kim, I'd sent her seeds and she had some health issues. It sounded pretty horrific involving her shoulder and stuff. And so she
Oh,
didn't get around to sowing them. Nan Andra is sold out again because I had sent some to Nan. So at her request, and because I want to, I'm going to mark all my blue columbines and try to save seeds from them because I thought I need to get these to continue to proliferate in my own garden. So I'm going to try to save the seeds of all those for this listener
sure.
and then for myself. That was the
Yes.
one question.
Yes. And then the other thing we got was a really nice long email. And it was about growing artichokes in zone 6B. We
Yes.
got several emails from people who said that they grow artichokes with different levels of success. Some of them
Yeah.
don't get an artichoke, but just like the plant, which it is a very dramatic plant, some get artichokes.
Yeah. And this was from a listener, Jennifer, and she's over in the Columbus, Ohio area. She said she's 6B and I'm 6A, so she's a tiny bit warmer. But she said she's had good luck. She's also had them over winter. She has moved to raised beds and her transplanting last year was not successful, but she has done it from seeds and she's winter sown them. That's a good tip to winter sow those artichokes. And she says as
Or
long
buy
as you start them,
plants.
yeah, by plants. I've never
I
seen
have.
artichoke plants for sale around here, but if I do, she makes me think that I might want to try it. She says they're really about the same size as a healthy zucchini plant, which is pretty big. So
Pretty
not
big if
crazy.
it's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I printed this and I'm going to kind of keep it here to remind myself if I see artichokes, I might get one. She also says she plants lots of nasturtiums to try to draw the insects away from the artichokes, which is what I do with my squash. I put nasturtiums
Nasturtiums
up and
around it.
down that row to try to keep the squash bugs at bay.
I have so many nasturtiums this year.
You do. I haven't I direct sow mine, Dee.
Well, I direct sowed some of mine too. I did both. I started some in the greenhouse, but then I also direct sowed a bunch of them because I only had so much room and only so many pots. So I have them
Yeah.
all over the place this year. It's kind of ridiculous. Okay.
Well, she also talks a little bit about growing celery. She says it's pretty easy, and it is pretty easy as long as you give it a lot of water. The Crown Bees, she'd heard that on another podcast. And then she said one of her favorite movies is Children of Men, which is that novel by P.D. James that I talked about.
Yeah, I've seen the
And
movie.
she didn't know it was a book.
Huh.
So she just seen, and I've not seen the movie, but she loves it. And I thought, well, I'll probably look for the movie and the book, and she's looking for the book now. So Jennifer, thank you for the very nice email that you
That
sent
was
to us
nice.
on Wednesday. We appreciate it.
You going to do the next quote or the first quote?
Yes, I am. I never quite remember how glorious it is going to be that first day of spring when I can stay out all day in the garden, not doing anything unpleasant such as pruning roses, but simply fiddling about. A bit of weeding, a bit of tying in, but mostly just wandering, fitting myself back into the plot. It's like being at a party where people you haven't seen for ages suddenly loom into view. Meeting them again, you remember why you liked their company. The equivalent of the party pooper is bittercress, pushing in round a juicy peony where it's not wanted. Anna Pavard. It's true.
Yeah, nobody can write like Anna.
No,
All right,
she's got some
so
great books out there.
for flowers this week, we were going to do the D's, but then I wrote you, texted you, and I
Yes.
said, we have got to change our flower topic.
How to stop overthinking, overreaching, overplanting in the spring, how to relax in your flower garden. Okay, this from
Or your vegetable garden. We could
yeah,
just say that up
we'll
front.
do flowers first. This from a woman
Okay.
who Dee, you just ordered a bunch of stuff from Select Seeds.
I did, but it won't be here until April, so it's all good.
It is all good. Well, people get kind of, can I use the word verklempt about their gardening and they get their pruners all tight thinking about, oh, is this going to be the right way to prune? If they could see me out there with pruners, because I'll give you an example. So, Dee, I have this magnolia butterfly, which has the beautiful, beautiful creamy yellow.
Mm-hmm. It's deciduous.
It is.
Oh,
And
gosh.
so it had one main stem, which is nicely branched. And then it had this one kind of big stem that kind of curved up. And I thought this little crotch thing here is not going to be good long term. And so I cut
You
it
just
off.
lopped it off, didn't you?
I lopped it off. I thought, is this the time? I don't care. I'm out here. I have loppers because I've been cutting back the smoke bushes and lopped it off.
So yesterday I went to get my nails done at my vegan nail salon, and Rachel does my nails. Hi, Rachel. And Rachel was saying to me, she was talking to me about some plants that she had sown, some seeds, and she was very, very worried about it all. And I said, Rachel, she goes, Dee, it's the internet. It's the internet. It makes me crazy. And it can make you crazy because between that and getting asked, and I know that's it's a vegetable thing, but getting asked about when to either put out the tomatoes or sow the tomato seeds, I get that question more than any other. So what made me think of this actual deal though was about flowers. Someone on one of the Oklahoma gardening groups on Facebook wrote, are we finally past the freeze date? No, in Oklahoma, we really aren't. We may not get another freeze. We're getting close. In Oklahoma City, you guys are, you have an earlier spring than I do out here. But here's the thing. I'm looking outside right now, and this is what I said to him on the deal. The native trees still are just gray. They haven't even broken bud. There's not even a hint of green. Usually when the native trees show a hint of green, you're probably past your first your last freeze. Another sign here is the American goldfinches. They're still at the bird feeder and they haven't colored up yet. So the minute they color up and fly away, that's usually a good time to know that we're after our last freeze. So what is it for you?
So for us, I hate to say it, it's Mother's Day.
Yeah,
It's easy to remember. But right now, I have a Japanese tree lilac, and it's starting to slowly leaf out. And I was just leaning back here looking at it because it's out this window, and I thought, it's kind of leafing out near the bottom, but not at the top. That concerns me a little bit, but not terribly. And then just nearby is a crabapple. It's one of my favorites, and
Beautiful one you have.
it's Guinevere, and I
Guinevere.
planted it the first year I was here, and it's beautiful. And it's also starting to leaf out. Now it leaves out before it flowers. And usually it flowers around April the 15th. So it's not that far off. But what drives me crazy, people run around thinking they've got to cover like daffodils and their tulips are up. And then,
No.
it's like, I'm not covering this stuff. It was 28 when I looked out there. Do my pansies look a little tough? Yeah, but they'll bounce out of it pretty quickly. And
They will. It was 32 here yesterday.
And then when people cover stuff, it just drives me nuts because they'll have maybe it's a small tree, So they'll get a big sheet out and then they tie it up like it's a lollipop. And first of all, no,
That doesn't
because
work.
the point of covering is to get radiant heat from the earth as it comes up in the evening, as it does when the sun sets. Radiant heat starts to come up from the earth and warm things around it. And you want to trap it beneath that blanket or sheet or whatever. And if you have it tied like a lollipop, not going to do anything.
Yeah, it won't help it. It'll just freeze on the top when it'll really freeze right next to where your covering is, because I've seen it happen even when you go all the way to the ground. I used to cover things, I don't anymore, but I don't bring stuff out until the last minute either, unless I just have it in a pot and bring it out for the day and then stick it back in the greenhouse. It is not time. Okay, so here's the deal. You can go ahead now and uncover your perennials. Now, I'm going to get flack from some of the people who don't want you to ever do anything to your perennials because, we're supposed to let all the bugs do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I've been gardening out here a long, long time, and it takes me a while to get through it all. And I just do it as I have time and I don't worry too much. And guess what? I have lots of bugs, so many bugs. The
Well,
issue really is for people who have, I mean, okay, so we should really take care of the bugs because that takes care of the birds, blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, the biggest issue you have is if you're in a subdivision and everyone sprays.
exactly.
That's why we don't have any bugs. I live in an area where nobody sprays for anything. So
Well,
I don't
and
have that problem.
in my property, I canceled my lawn service a year ago.
Mhm.
And so I went out without lawn service and I'm going to do it organically myself this year. So my contention is, dear neighbors, if my lawn is mowed and properly trimmed, I don't care if there are a few weeds that creep into it. And I know which weeds I want to kind of like, if henbit gets in there, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to try to get out some dandelions, especially in the front. In the back, the back is mine. It's behind a privacy fence. It is my domain. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Which does remind me, and we'll talk about it. I've got to try it, but there's a company called, I should have looked it up, Groot Pow, I think. I'll put a link. They sent me a dandelion weeder to try, a stand-up one.
Okay.
And I,
Mhm.
I haven't found any dandelions to try it on yet, believe it or not. So, uh,
I finally saw one the other day.
yeah, I
One.
mean, I really would have to walk around the
They're
backyard to look
coming.
for it. Yeah, but I haven't found any. There's none blooming or anything. But
Hmm.
I do the chop and drop method with my perennials. And so, unless it's a seed head that I don't want that thing to self sow, I just cut it back and I chop it and throw it back down on the ground to become mulch. And I know that the plant diversity in my neighborhood is 100 times greater than the plant diversity in any of my neighbors. I just
Oh
know that.
yeah, mine
Yeah. I
too.
mean, there's stuff growing here that they would just be like, what? What?
Yeah, here too. In fact, the funny thing about the lawn, you brought up the lawn. Lou's mows our lawn. He does that for Bill, and because we have a big lawn. Not because we want a big lawn. We just live on an acreage, and it just already had grass. Luz is so funny because he comes into my lawn and he just shakes his head because he would spray it for me if I wanted him to, but I just say no. I don't. What did he say last year? He goes, "Yeah, yeah, I know you like the natural look, and I do. I like white clover. I like
Yes.
all that stuff. I really do." And I got a question about white clover yesterday from my hairdresser. She asked me if she goes, "Is clover bad for your lawn?" I said, no, it's a nitrogen fixer. It's good, actually. And it used to be in lawn seed way back when. So I guess the point of all of this is don't get into too big a hurry. Take your time. Don't be in such a big hurry that you miss enjoying spring.
Exactly.
Spring only comes once a year.
Exactly. I did want to point out, speaking of clover, you had that ornamental clover in your pot that you put
Yeah,
on our thing, and I answered the question that's an ornamental clover, and you'll have to tell us which one it
I
is. But
don't know which one it is.
You just
I
bought
didn't
it.
keep the tag. I don't care. I'm so sorry. I mean, it was just a normal clover in a pot, and I recognized it and said cute and stuck it in the pot. That's another thing. I used to tag everything because I had daylilies and I was a daylily display garden, but my attitude is I'm tired of those tags. So I might occasionally tag a rose or occasionally tag a daylily, but I'm done. I'm done tagging. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I just put the tags in a basket. And then if somebody asks, I go looking through the tags and I'm like, okay, that's what it is.
It never occurred to me anybody would ask. Sorry. I found it at Lowe's. So if they're
Yeah.
local, it's at
And the other
Lowe's.
thing that's going to happen, it happens around here. So end of April, even earlier, depending on the weather,
Hmm.
the stuff in the greenhouse will look ready to go. And some of it, she
Hmm.
plans to have it ready to go. But they
Right.
have to put signs up that says, we can't guarantee we're frost free. Don't bring back your little frostbitten plants and say it died. No, buy at your own risk. And, there were some years, a few years ago, when everybody was gardening and they were really selling out of some stuff. And sometimes
2020.
Courtney's mom would pull me aside and said, you want this, you better get it. So
Yeah.
I would load it. And one year I kept it in the back of the truck and I would just roll the truck out in the morning and after it was not frosty and everything and let it sit there, water it, and then at night pull it back in and did that for a couple of days until I was really sure we were frost free.
Yeah. And if you see something at the greenhouse or the box store that you really want that is tender, which would be all kinds of things, it's okay to buy it. Just have a plan for what you're willing to do. So you'll have to keep those plants inside, take them out during the day, water them down, pull them back in. And that's all right. It's okay. It's just how much work do you want to do? Because you're going to be really busy in April and May.
Yes.
But it is okay to go ahead and prune your rose bushes. I get that question all the time too. Yeah, go on and prune them. Fertilize them if you want to. Don't fertilize them if you don't want to. You can't predict if we're going to have a late freeze or not anyway. So just enjoy spring. Enjoy the bird
Exactly.
song, things like
Enjoy it.
that.
Yes. Go for a walk and see what your neighbors aren't planting in my case or so. And because in the blink of an eye,
It's
already,
summer.
well, no, already my crocuses that are the Tommies, they're
Mine are
pretty much
gone.
all done. And, I'm starting
Hmm.
to see the foliage. There's Gloria of the Snow coming in, the Chionodoxas. But in the blink of an eye, you go from being excited at seeing the first crocus to like, where are all the crocuses? They're
Yeah,
done.
my yard is mostly Chionodoxa and daffodils at this point, with a small cluster of tulips here and there.
Yes, yes.
Everything else is done. The Iris reticulata is done. I need to go see if my lily of the valley is budded out, because it just
Not
starts
even
to
coming
get
up
ready.
here. Yeah.
Mine's
Not even,
up. I noticed that.
not even
All right,
coming
shall I
up.
do the next quote?
Yes.
A quiet and modest life brings more joy than a pursuit of success bound with constant unrest. Albert Einstein. He did retire and and lived a very long life. So
Yeah, I don't know his full life story, but yeah. Okay.
he's an interesting guy. Okay, so
He is.
vegetables. You fleshed this out, which was nice. How to relax in your vegetable garden. Don't plant your tomatoes yet
Exactly.
outside. That's number one.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started off with put a nice chair out there so you can sit a spell and just sit yourself down. Just sit yourself down. There's plenty of time. Top of the list, I said, join a CSA, community supported agriculture, that
Yeah.
would deliver you a weekly or a bi-weekly bunch of vegetables and just leave it all to them. And don't worry about it then.
Yeah, because they're doing it in hoop houses and doing the frost cloth and all the things that are hard. And then you can enjoy it. And here you can do cams. Her CSA is a really good one.
Yeah, I'm sure
And
there's
then, oh,
lovely
this
ones
is
in
a
Indianapolis.
number three is, oh no, you're number two. Number two is good.
Plant and raised beds, we've been over that ad nauseum, how easy it was for me to go out there to my raised beds this spring and just like push the leaves back on the one side, put my little trellis up, plant those peas. Easy peasy, as they say. Number
Lemon
number
squeezy.
three, there's no shame.
Buy
There's no shame.
Yeah, go ahead. You can do it.
No shame in buying plants instead of starting seeds. And when I was a working gal, I almost always bought my tomato plants and bought my pepper plants. Carol did not have time to be starting seeds and tending them. And still, I've got all the seeds and I'm going to sow my own seeds, but there's no shame in it.
You know Ladybug Flower Farm, Jennifer?
Uh-huh.
Her father-in-law on the same property, he sells plants. He sells vegetable plants, I think, for almost nothing. And they're
Oh
really
yeah.
healthy. So
That's
go
the
buy
other
some from
tip.
Gary.
You don't have to buy the name brand, and we won't talk about what name brands are out there, but they're at Lowe's and they're at Home Depot and they're at Menards. Name brand, big price. Get you to a local greenhouse because they
They're
will
cheaper.
have regular old tomatoes, they will have very lovely peppers, and they will be a very modest price.
There's a guy in Hera that I bought from a couple of times, and he had amazing stuff. It's just too far for me to go. I could go over to Gary's. All right. And then number 4 is grow some easy peasy veggies to gain confidence, though any crops can fail in any given year. Boy, is that not. And don't take it
It,
personally.
think
It,
about our green bean failures of
oh my
past.
gosh, that was so,
Or last
that
year,
was
my
funny.
peas all got powdery mildew. Now they are at the other end of the garden this year, way
Good
away from
idea.
where the
Crop rotation. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, one time I got root knot nematodes on my tomatoes. A lot of times it gets hot here before tomatoes can start setting fruit. I mean, it's not your fault. We get squash bugs. I mean, stuff happens. It's okay. Just
Mother
let that
Nature.
crop grow.
Mother Nature sends even the most experienced gardeners to the back of the row sometimes, bottom of the pits.
So, number 5 is add some flowers for beauty. Add some flowers for beauty and pollination and
Yes.
as a trap crop. There's lots of reasons. I found some alyssum yesterday at
I
the
have
box
already
store,
planted some alyssum. Now it will
but I
not be
don't
quite as
usually.
happy. It won't be quite as happy out there in the vegetable garden where I planted it as the pansies and violas with this cold weather, but it'll snap out of it.
And it really doesn't like hot weather. So I'm just playing around getting it. I smelled that honey scent and I thought, oh, I'm going to put that in a pot. All
Yeah.
right. And then let's see. If you want to, you could skip the early spring veggies and focus on planting when it's frost free. Explain frost free, Carol. That's different from your last freeze date.
Pardon me?
Explain frost free. It's
Oh,
different from your last freeze date because people get confused about that and they think, oh, it's April 17th. I can now plant my tomatoes for sure. And then what happens?
you can have frost and not you. It won't be a total freeze. It's like in the fall, you get a light frost, but it's not really a freeze. In the
Yeah.
spring, you can get some light frost even after you've had your last freeze. And so it's just low temperatures. But I tell you what, peppers, tomatoes,
Corn.
eggplant,
Corn doesn't
corn.
like to germinate. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it can handle it, but it doesn't like to germinate in cold soil.
no. And the soil is plenty warm enough sometimes, but that light frost, it'll nip it. And I tell people, and I know it was, I'm going to say 97, 98, maybe 98, 99. I'd
Mhm.
have to look at my records. Carol got a frost on May the 25th. May the 25th.
That makes me cranky. I don't even like that. All right. And then let's see. What
Well,
else did
but
you
that goes
say?
along with why I'm not anxious to get everything out into the garden until Memorial Day weekend
Right.
because I've
That's
been
too late
burnt.
here. It's
Go
too
to the
late here.
farmer's
So
market.
there's, yeah, that's number 7. Go to the farmer's market and buy the stuff you don't grow or what failed.
Yeah. Now,
It's
sometimes,
okay.
now I haven't ever had a complete tomato failure, but there was the one year that's like every big tomato a squirrel ate a bite out of. And so I would have to go incognito because it would be embarrassing to go to the farmer's market in the middle of summer and be buying tomatoes like, well, you're not growing your own, Carol? So, and I figured out, look, let's see, there's a farmer's market on Saturdays just south of me.
Here
And
too.
then there's one on Wednesdays that's not too far. And then I found out that over there in Morgan County, which isn't that far, they have one on Tuesday afternoon. So they're not all on Saturday mornings. If you have to work on Saturdays for some reason, they're all through the week. You just have to kind of get the schedule and you can go around to all of them.
And a lot of times they have fresh flowers and food. And one of our farmers market sells beef and it cooks it at the farmers market. So I won't be going there.
They have beef, they have lamb, they have eggs,
They put it on the grill and give out samples. So I'm
baked
feedly
goods,
active. Can't
baked
go there.
goods, kettle corn.
Yeah.
I was thinking of things they sell besides.
You're making me hungry. Okay, let's
I'm
go on to
sorry.
number 8. All right, skip the stuff that brings in the most bugs. These are not the bugs you want, like the stuff the flowers bring in.
Right.
These are the bugs like squash bugs, cabbage moths,
Squash vine
bean,
borers, squash
uh,
bugs.
yeah, Mexican bean beetle, potato bugs. There's a lot of them, but here's the thing. You'll know in your area what you have the most trouble with. Or
Yes.
ask around. Ask the person on your street who has the great vegetable garden. Be friends
Nope.
with that person. That could be
Nobody ever
number.
asks me. Well, I do get some questions. And or I'll run into a neighbor at the greenhouse and they reaching for something. I'm like, you don't want that.
Oh, I do that all the
You want
time.
that.
If I'm at a box store and I see somebody reaching for a fuchsia, I go, don't waste your money unless you have a party tomorrow, because that fuchsia is going to turn up its leaves and die.
And then
Ready?
number
Yeah,
9, I said you could limit the number of varieties of each veggie you grow. It is not necessary like to grow 13
20
varieties.
tomatoes.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. A
It's
cherry
not.
tomato, a slicing tomato, a canning tomato. You could grow 3 kinds and be happy. Or
Yeah, and some
should be
people just
happy.
like. I have one client. She just likes cherry tomatoes. And I'm like, you go, girl, because those are the easiest ones to grow. Those
They
suckers set
are.
fruit no matter what. Okay. And then let's see, 10. Oh, yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy.
It is. Don't compare your garden to anyone else's. And I put this under vegetables, but you could go right up there to flowers.
You
And
sure could.
if you see something in somebody's garden and you want it in your own, just ask politely what it is and then go
Mhm.
buy it.
Don't carry your scissors into their garden. Ask me how I know
No.
that.
It yeah.
Seen it.
Yeah, because I was on Instagram, so there's this Abby's garden party up in Zionsville and she does like
Hmm.
terrarium workshops and terrarium
Yeah.
parties. And she's at the flower and patio show right now. And she posted, she had these beautiful string of pearls in hanging baskets. And one of them has a big gap. And she said, somebody came and just,
Pinched it.
you
That's
won't
rude.
grow, people. And you'll ruin your
Well,
garden
you'll,
forever if you put stolen plants in there. Trust
yeah,
us.
the
We don't know
garden
this by
fairies
example.
will curse you.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for that one. Next quote.
So I changed this last night because I realized we had duplicated this quote with the next one. So often, a
Ah,
visit to a bookshop has cheered me and reminded me that there are good things in the world. Vincent van Gogh.
he's right. I'm still seeing a lot of stuff on Instagram and elsewhere where people are really, really stressed. You guys need to get out there and get your hands in the dirt. That's all I'm going to say
Yeah,
about that.
get
Okay,
some, yeah.
here's our bookshelf book.
Yeah,
And
it's really
notice
lovely, Dee. And how did you end up with
I'm
that?
the only one holding it up
How did you end up
because
with that book, Dee?
I ordered it.
Why did you order
Because
it, Dee?
because you said, "Oh, look, this book is out. I think I'm going to order it." And I said, "Okay." And I, hit that sell button, buy it
Well,
button.
exactly what happened
And
was,
then
wait a minute,
you didn't get,
let's tell the story correctly. You were
okay.
cooking supper and I texted you and said, "Hey, there's a new book coming out about Jane Austen's garden."
Hmm.
And you said, "Oh, I'm not going to buy that." And then I says, "I think I'm going to buy it." And then you said, "I'm going to buy it." And you ordered it. And then last
I,
week
s-
when no, wait a minute. Last
well,
week I
what? No,
said,
no, no. Wait, wait, wait. I said, I'm going to order it, but I'll wait until after dinner. But that's not what I did. I just
you ordered
bought
it
it.
immediately. Then
Okay,
last
go ahead.
week when I said, "Let's make that our book." It should come that we should be getting it soon.
Yeah,
You said, "Well, I didn't order it." I said, "That's okay. I'll have it."
I did too. I did order it.
And then it showed up on your door and you texted me and says, "I did order it." And I knew you'd ordered it. I remembered it.
I didn't. I don't, if I'm doing something else and trying, well, especially cooking, because it can be really complicated sometimes. Okay, so our book this week is this,
Well,
and
wait a minute.
Carol doesn't have it.
I don't have it because the Indianapolis Regional Distribution Center is really messed up.
That's
And
two
so
of
it was shipped on the 10th. It
them.
arrived
Uh-huh.
in Indianapolis promptly on the 12th, as compared to another book that went all over the United States. Anyway, they scanned it in on the 13th, and then there was silence. And then on the 17th, they scanned it and it says, in transit to next facility, arriving late. And today is the 21st. That is still its status. And I bought this book. So I'm
Yeah.
Jane Austen's Garden, a botanical tour of the classic novels by Molly Williams and Jessica Rowe. Tell us about it, Dee.
Okay, so I didn't have a lot of expectations for this book. It's a really pretty cover, really pretty spine to sit on your shelf. And I thought to myself, I wonder if it's just going to be one of those that you just look through and you go,
Jane
oh, that
Austen,
was
250th
fun.
birthday.
Yeah,
Let's come out with a book about her
yeah.
garden.
That's what I thought. Oh, no, it's actually really good, surprisingly good. And here's why. She tells you about where each of these things fit into the novels, right? But then she also tells you about Jane Austen's life and what we know about how she interacted with these plants.
That's pretty good.
Sometimes you get a craft, sometimes you get a history on the plant, like in the roses section. She explains about the roses that were popular during the Regency period
Uh huh.
and why, and that was really good. She tells you about, there's a whole section on pelargoniums. There's a whole section on plants that people ate. There's a section on, this is one of my favorite sections, right? I did not mark it. Where is it? Hang on. It's the one on conservatories. If I can get to fall up into that again. There's a whole section on trees, and it's all of the trees that grow in England, which I've seen a bunch of them. And I thought that was really good too, because some of these you can't grow here very well,
Well,
at least
there's
in our part of the world.
in
Here's
the
the
movie.
greenhouse.
Yeah, that's just like the one I built with Lego. In
Okay, but
the movie
okay, go ahead and
Emma,
finish.
which I saw in February 2020, one of the last movies I saw in the theater
Mhm.
before they shut it down, they had a scene that took place under a blooming horse chestnut, which was a beautiful tree in England. Beautiful flowers, just
I'm sure
gorgeous.
it's in here. Yeah. They have some amazingly large trees. Okay, so when she's talking about the greenhouse, she says exploring greenhouse and conservatory options for your own garden. So it's like your craft at the end. And it's like window pane greenhouses, the ones that just sit on the edge of your house, and hoop houses, cold frames, lean-to greenhouses, and mini greenhouses. And then I thought that that was really great. And then she tells you all the different conservatories that were during Jane's time. It's
Yeah.
really good. I'll be glad when you get it.
I will be glad when I get it too. What they said in the description is it's an elegantly illustrated celebration of Jane Austen's life and literature as told through the flowers, plants, and landscapes that inspired her.
Mhm. I believe
Woven
it.
throughout with DIY projects to help you create a home garden worthy of a surprise visit from Lady Catherine de Boer, or maybe just give your dining table a bit of historical flair. So, does that mean anything about pansies or violets or
I think it might.
heartsease, which is
Heartsease. That's the sweetest name. That's the name of Sharon Lovejoy's store that she used to have. She doesn't have a thing,
no
what's
index
that? Yeah, that's the word I was trying to think of. There's no index in here. I don't remember reading about pansies. I'm looking. I found your
or
chestnut.
violets.
I found your chestnut. So
Yeah.
there's that. Strawberries, rhubarb, currants, cabbage. Those are kitchen. She does a whole thing on the kitchen garden. Oh, here's a posy bouquet. So we're getting closer, right?
Yes.
There's roses. Hmm. I don't see them. Sorry.
That's okay.
But it's still a great book. It's way more than than I thought it was going to be.
Anyway, that's Jane Austen's Garden, a botanical tour of the classic novels by Molly Williams and Jessica Rowe. Please, Mr. Postman, deliver my book.
No kidding.
I
That's
did see
two
it at
now.
Barnes and Noble yesterday, and I thought, should I buy it and then return it? No, no, that's wrong. It'll
I
show up.
just wait. It's going to come. And you'll enjoy it in the middle of summer when it's hot. Ready for the next quote?
I indeed am.
Small homes make wallets fatter, material possessions fewer, conversations easier, laughter louder, cleaning time shorter, and fun times longer. Unknown. I don't know who said that, but it's funny. All right, dirt. You're going to talk about the dirt because did you find this or did I find it?
I don't know, but it's wassailing to trees in early spring. And I wrote on here a note that says rituals can be an important part of gardening, but don't get too tied to them. Relax. It's like, for example, it's okay not to plant your peas exactly on St. Patrick's Day.
In
But
Indiana,
anyway,
because here you plant them
Indiana.
earlier.
Yeah,
You plant potatoes here around St. Patrick's Day.
which makes
So
sense.
wassailing, I thought was just drinking apple
No, it
cider.
says that wassailing the trees is an old Anglo-Saxon derived tradition well over 1,000 years old. It generally takes place on 12th night, or the 17th of January was the 12th night before the newfangled Gregorian calendar was adopted, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the other version of wassailing, because they used to go house to house, was to the wassail to the trees in the orchards. The tradition arose to wake the fruit trees from their winter slumber to ensure a good harvest in the year to come and scare away evil spirits by making a noise. And
Huh.
so
That
in
must be
some
England since it's
areas,
Anglo-Saxon.
it is English. They still any excuse to plan a party, right? They do still do this in some parts of England. They have a
Mhm.
wassail and they have a wassail king and a wassail queen and they go out to the orchard and you
Bang
know,
pots or what? I don't
I
think I
don't
want to
know.
wake. I don't want to wake my trees in January.
No. No.
Maybe March.
No.
March
It's
is
just
good.
something fun and it just
Yeah,
reminds
it
me
is
there's
fun.
all kinds of old rituals and traditions that people adopt and anyway, they could make noise and they would sing, and it's just, I think it was an excuse to dance and party and drink.
There you go. Sounds good to me, I guess, if you're in.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that is our dirt this week.
Wassailing to trees in early spring. Here's a quote. There is a garden in every childhood, an enchanted place where colors are brighter, the air softer, and the morning more fragrant than ever again. Elizabeth Lawrence, one of our favorites.
Okay, my rabbit hole is easy. There's two. I've been looking at pelargoniums. I mean, I love them so much, and I've just been like not buying them. I did buy two, that's all. But just trimming them up, taking care of them, and then on top of that, just reading some more about the history. I've decided that I really like Victorian plants.
I can believe that. Yes,
Begonias,
pelargoniums.
pelargoniums. I also like roses, of course. And what was the other one I was thinking? Well, pansies and violets are very Victorian too.
Yes.
So are what you call it that I just said a little bit ago. Lily of the Valley. It's also a very Victorian plant. I've decided
Yes.
I like Victorian stuff. My house is a little cluttered like Victoriana too.
Yes.
So there you go.
There
That's
you go.
mine. And the
So my
fires. But I don't want
yeah.
to talk about those. Next.
So my latest lost lady of garden writing is Helen K. Krause.
Mhm.
She was kind of an interesting rabbit hole, and I kind of chased a couple of trails. And she did write a complete book on begonias, Dee, and it's pretty intense. And
I'm not sure I want it. I mean, because
I
that's.
don't think you need it because, like the
Mhm.
first two-thirds of the book, she describes like all kinds of different varieties of begonias. And I do think, per conversation we had a couple of months ago, those things disappear from the trade. And
Mhm.
so you
They
get your
come and
little
go.
heart broken, as I did, not exactly broken, but I was looking for begonia years ago and I got a few more clues from Helen as to how I might find something similar. But then, so she wrote a book on begonias in the late 40s. And then in 1951, she donates all her begonia material to a place in California and goes off on her pelargonium.
So she was just obsessive compulsive, probably.
Well, she wrote a complete book on pelargoniums. And so she even went to South Africa and saw pelargoniums in the wild. the
Go
native.
her. What
But then
time period was this?
she wrote that book in, I think, the 50s, right
Mhm.
after the other Helen Van Pelt wrote The Joy of Geraniums. So they must have been really big in the 50s.
They must
Then
have.
she she drops that and goes into making flowers out of seashells. Very intricate flower arrangements. I'm not talking about like gluing them around a frame.
No, she's talking about actually like
She
a
like
bouquet.
different shapes of the shells becoming the petals. And then because she had started this auxiliary for the Women's Medical College in Philadelphia, the only women's medical college in the country, she
Mhm.
started an auxiliary for them and she committed to raising money for it. And she did that by selling her seashell flower arrangements. And she sold one of
Okay.
them. She sold one of them to Mrs. John B. Kelly of Philadelphia. And Mrs. Kelly was going to give it to her daughter, Princess Grace of Monaco.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So then I'm looking up Princess Grace of Monaco to see if there's like a collection of her archives or something online. Like these are all the gifts she was ever given, to see if there was some of these seashell arrangements still existed. But anyway, and and then for a while she ran her husband's company after he died, and you just got the sense of being like Helen went after it, and she was like, like you said, right in on that subject. Then when she was done with it, I think she was done with it and went on to the next thing. So she's a
I do
character.
that a little bit, but not to that extent. Wow. Okay, Helen. Helen K. Krauss.
Yes. And by the way, she was born in Germany and came with her parents when she was about 5 to the United States. In
Hmm.
1892, they immigrated.
A lot of people did. A lot of my relatives did in the
So,
1800s.
garden
All right. Well,
commissions.
that wore me out. Helen wore me out, Carol.
I got 2 of her books. The seashell book you can browse digitally online. The other 2 books you can't for whatever reason, even though the seashell book is the newest one. You can browse it online. But anyway,
That's
I'm
okay.
not making flowers out of seashells. I do not need that as a hobby.
I mean, you got Legos. That'll work.
And I live, oh, yeah. I don't want to talk about that. I might have placed an order. But anyway,
Oh,
let's not
no.
talk it.
What did you buy?
Nothing. We don't have to talk about it this week, Dee. Let's talk about our garden commissions.
Okay, well, mine is to keep working in the garden and get up the leaves where I can. And then I was looking outside my window and I see a rose bush that needs pruning. That would be Roald Dahl, which is a beautiful yellow.
Oh,
And
nice.
he's very nice. He's sitting out in that bed. I took out all of the other roses down there because, well, I was tired of getting stuck by them, to be honest. And I wasn't in love with them anymore. So that's how things go sometimes.
Yeah, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was trimming the ballerina rose that I have, which is a really old variety. I think it's
Mhm.
ballerina is what everybody told me.
Yeah,
It
ballerina.
it has hardly any thorns at all, and I thought, well, I like you much better.
Yeah, it's not very thorny. That one's
No,
not. I used to grow it. It's really pretty. So, what is yours? Oh, you're doing a presentation. I did 2 garden coaching deals last week. That was busy.
yeah. So I'm working on a presentation. It's going to be to the Herb Society of America via Zoom on April the
Fun.
22nd, and the topic is Lost Ladies of Garden Writing with a focus on herbal writers. And if you
Nice.
belong to the Herb Society of America, it's free to attend. If you don't, you can pay $10 to get get in on this deal, April 22nd. I forget what time. I think 1 o'clock. I need to start making labels for tomatoes and peppers in anticipation of sowing those seeds. Round up all my supplies. I got to clean up the sunroom because the seed shelves have stuff on them that's got to go someplace else, including some plants. All those books I've been buying the last few weeks, I got to get those on shelves somewhere. Pick the next Lost Lady of Garden Writing. I mean, I have to get the house ready for Easter because I'm hosting everybody.
When is
So
Easter?
April 20th.
Oh, you got time. Okay, keep
I got
going.
time.
Feels like
We
Lent will never end.
no, when it starts really late, it's like, but the garden will
Yeah.
be beautiful on actually, we're going to meet on Saturday, the 19th. It'll be beautiful. So I got to keep weeding. Might work on that wattle type fencing with all those sticks that I now have. but
Mhm.
maybe not. They might just all end up in the chipper shredder. And then this is Friday. On Sunday, I'm going to go to the very last day of the Indiana Flower and Patio Show. Just check it out. That's it.
Goodness. Okay, that's all. Yeah, I don't think I have that much. I mean, I'm going to putter. I'm going to take
Puttering
my
is
time.
nice, Dee. Puttering is nice. And
Mhm.
I think spring is when there's a real difference in our gardens.
Yeah, you see changes really fast.
Yes.
Summer, everything kind of hunkers down
No, I'm
and
thinking
waits.
between our gardens, like mine in Indiana and
Oh,
yours in
yeah, we're like a
Oklahoma.
month. We're a month apart,
But in the
pretty
summer, we're kind
much.
of doing the same thing. And then my
Hmm.
fall starts a little earlier than your fall.
Yeah, I need a
Anyway,
mulch too, but I haven't. I haven't. I don't. Yeah, I need a mulch, but I got to put on all my tick clothing to mulch.
yeah, you do. You got a plan for that. So,
Oh, there's new tick news. Do you want to hear the new tick news?
yeah, go ahead before we wrap up.
Lone Star ticks aren't the only ticks. There's two new studies that show that two other ticks, the black-legged tick and then this western tick, that they also transmit alpha-gal syndrome,
That's
which
not news that I wanted to
we've
hear.
we have felt like this has been the case for quite a while because we know people who were not bitten by a Lone Star tick and they got alpha-gal. So there you go. And about this time, every time something like this comes out, 3 or 4 people write me about Lyme, Connecticut, and how all of this started in Lyme, Connecticut. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that. Uh-huh. I don't know. I mean, I don't, it's a conspiracy theory. I got nothing on it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I got nothing. I got
The truth
nothing.
is, even if it started whenever, wherever, it doesn't really matter. The truth is, it's just a lot of people have it now.
Exactly. Exactly. No matter where it came from, it's still a devastating thing to get. So protect yourselves with insect shield clothing and other methods so you don't get bit by ticks. And with that, I will wrap us up. Thank
Yep.
you for listening to The Garden Angelus. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time.
If you subscribe to our free newsletter, and why haven't you? You get a link to listen to the podcast a whole day early, and you get links to products we discuss. Some are affiliate links, like to Insect Shield.
And if you want to help support us, use our affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we're in a small commission and it costs you nothing.
Or you can set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout, or you can make a one-time donation through PayPal.
And thank you to everyone who has done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the Garden Gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.